Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Zappy here, back again with My Hero Academia. We're on Season 4, Episode 2, and in the last episode, in the opening episode for Season 4, it was, of course, like a recap episode, you know, like we all predicted it would be, but it wasn't actually all that bad. I actually enjoyed it for the episode that it was. You know, I do like Tanio Tokada as a character. Also, if you watch, like, my last episode post-discussion, I was talking about how I feel like I've already heard of a character that had the last name Tokada, and I figured out what it was. It was Mirio's last name, Mirio Togata, right? And Tanio Tokada. So it's very similar sounding, and that's why I was confused. But yeah, you know, we got that out of the way anyway. And the only real other thing, because it was a recap episode, that I was really even talking about was the ending. Now, I watched the ending because I figured it would not contain spoilers. I feel like My Hero, the endings have just been things to watch, like things to look at. Like, you're just looking at the characters, like, and, you know, having a good time and whatever. But, you know, apparently the opening is fine to watch, but it's the ending that has the more spoilers in it. Now, I still don't think I don't think I've really been spoiled, other than the fact of this new little girl character. I still don't obviously know the backstory. I had a theory about it, and I talked about that, but fuck knows if that's got anything to do with anything. You know, so, you know, that is that. But I don't really think there's anything else to really talk about. So yeah, if you do want to watch the reaction, obviously, highlights, then you know, it's down in the description below. And if you do want to watch, like, my reaction in full, then you can do by going over to my Patreon and becoming a full-length tier patron, and then you can watch my entire thing uncut. Okay, so yeah, go enjoy that if that is what you want. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about, so we're going to get in episode 2 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 2. Fuck that whole thing with Overhaul and the League of Villains. That's crazy. Like, that's next level. He fucking hell, like, his whole top half blew off. It was gone. I need to know what that quirk is. And I don't know if it's because I haven't gone through to sort of to look at exactly what had happened again. So I'm basically going off what I saw in my reaction, and that was all that I saw. And I was in a state of shock of what I saw, that I didn't. The things that were coming afterwards, I couldn't really explain what was happening. So the first one, he scratched him, and this is the thing. Like, I figured, just based upon the whole Doctor Masks thing that they are doing, and he brings up, like, this whole disease thing, that his quirk would be something that was related to that. I always thought there would have to be, right? Just for the sake of making it all make sense. But if that's the case, then his quirk is somehow a disease. Like, the way that it sort of... The way that it had affected... I can't even remember. Oh, fuck. Magna, that's the one, right? The way that it affected him, it was similar to like some sort of fucking, like, horrific, like, what disease would be, what, leprosy? I don't know. Like, it affected him in a plague sort of diseased kind of way, which then, because it was, it like bubbled up, and then it spiked up, and then it exploded. Like, jeez, it's next level stuff, man. Like, this, it's gone darker. Fuck, yeah, scary times. And then what was that? What happened after with the magician dude? He got shot, and then Overhaul was saying, "Well, don't touch me" or something. So I don't know if it was... Right, okay, thinking about it, it may have been that Overhaul killed Magna because he was coming after him, and it was a self-defense, and also a way as to serve as a warning, like a warning shot in a way, or warning kill, I guess. If Overhaul didn't want the magician guy to touch him, then that would mean that he can't be touched. And that the guy that shot the bullet was trying to stop the guy from touching Overhaul, because then that would cause him to, well, he did, he lost an arm. I couldn't really see, because it was all like happening so fast, that if the magician guy did touch Overhaul and that caused him to lose his arm, because I don't think it was the bullet, right? Although it could have been. If the bullet is inserted with something that is similar, if they're able to do that, like with some kind of support item, if that's how they do it, if they're able to sort of extract something that Overhaul has and put it into a bullet, maybe he did that so that the magician guy wouldn't die but lose an arm. It's just that's a crazy quirk, man. That is crazy. Because what the thing is about the show, right? The thing that's great about it is that the quirks and all of that and the limitations that they have and what could they possibly do with them. I don't know about that one's like, it's weird because it's sort of, I feel like it's almost similar to Shigaraki's decay quirk, in that it needs to, like, it's a case of it has to be touching. Although his is more like it needs to be all five, right? Like with Shigaraki. So this is the thing: is that what I think the limitation must be activation. Because if all it takes is for you to touch him and that's what happens, that's crazy. That's like the ultimate defensive fucking thing that he's got there. So there has to be some kind of limit. So yeah, they said that he was Yakuza, and then it was the young head of the Shia Hisaikai. So Shia Hisaikai is not his name. That's like a branch of Yakuza, right? Or like the family or something that it was called. And that's what he was. And the reason why he's coming back and sort of into prominence now is because he said he was more interested in the fact that All for One was gone, not necessarily the fact that All Might had retired. Because at this point, All Might, he's nothing to really worry about anymore. So it was more along the lines of, well, there's a spot open to lead, and it just works so perfectly that I can come in and I can take over this, you know? And that's the thing, is like Shigaraki's like, I'm in charge. But I still haven't seen the maturity of Shigaraki, you know? Like, he's still a child at heart, you know? Like, he's still very childish in his ways. I wonder if there's ever going to be like a fucking, like, you know, an actual meeting between Shigaraki and any other villain where it's actually going to go nice for a change and they don't end up fucking killing each other or nearly killing each other. Because the exact same thing happened with Stain, you know? Mind you, Stain's ideals were completely different at that point, and it was just a, you know, it was that, but yeah, that was crazy. So, yeah, the work study is, of course, going to be under Sir Night-Eye. I figured that after the last episode, but at the end of Season 3, I was like, oh yeah, he's young sidekick, and I was just thinking David Shield and whatever, but no, it turns out Sir Night-Eye is the one. And the fact is that Sir Night-Eye has this, like, sort of admiration for All Might beyond belief, considering what his character is. Like, you know, when you're just seeing him and people are, like, they're talking about him, and it comes up with a visual of like Sir Night-Eye on the screen. Like, the last thing you would think is everything that they're telling you. You know, it's completely the opposite. Like, from the way he looks, the way he sort of looks like he holds himself, to valuing humor and energy, admiring All Might. You know what I mean? Like, I guess the admiring All Might thing is you know, whatever. Anyone's allowed to do that because All Might was so fucking fantastic anyway. So, you know, but it's crazy. I mean, All Might was basically saying that, you know, he can't introduce Deku to All Might because Deku to Sir Night-Eye, sorry, because Night-Eye had warned him that of what would go wrong, and it did. So I imagine what he's talking about is Sir Night-Eye must have been the sidekick of All Might at that point where he was going after All for One, and Night-Eye was basically telling him like, you know, this is not good. Like you've got this sort of personal vendetta against him, which is something that they like when you had with Ida, right, in the Stain thing. Like when you're going solely for like revenge, that's not a heroic thing. And I think that's probably what Night Eye was telling him, and All Might wasn't listening, right? Which is great. Which is something I don't think I've ever already talked about before. It's like that the whole thing of like All Might clearly going like on a like revenge mission against All for One. It's great, like seeing that, you know, the pinnacle of what a hero actually is. All Might isn't perfect, you know. Well, that's the thing. Is like, to me, it, you know, we've already had the conversation about like the whole like limits and what a hero should actually do and whether she go out as like on personal revenge and stuff. I mean, to me, it's just like, you know what I mean, the guy's evil, go after him, kill him. I'm not bothered. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be asked. You know what I mean? It's a guy who's fucking evil, clearly doing evil things. As of right now, he's the most evil one that we know of. You know, his quirk is fucking very, very dangerous. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and just, you know, say that All Might was in the wrong. You know what I mean? But I'm talking about it in a case by, you know, the show says that personal revenge and vendettas are not heroic and wrong. So therefore, it's just, you know, I'm just judging it based upon that. But anyway, so yeah, All Might was actually refusing the work. Like, he refused the whole thing about the work studies for first years. He didn't like the idea, and he actually sort of voted against it, which is interesting. But the one this is the one thing I actually disagree with what All Might is actually saying here. But he says, "Is he that impatient to succeed me?" And it's odd to hear him say that, because I feel like All Might knows the stakes. He knows what is happening in his absence because he is retired. Like they are on a time limit, you know. And I feel like All Might would know that. So it's like the wording. I don't know if in the Japanese it was supposed to be phrased differently. I don't know. But the whole thing of like, is he that impatient to succeed me? It's not that for Deku. Like I know Deku like says that, oh no, like Deku puts the time limit strain upon himself, but we know that there's a time limit anyway. Like, we know it's getting worse, and it's getting worse very quickly. So I just feel like it's not specifically for Deku being impatient, more so than the world needs very strong heroes at this point, because it's about to all fall into fucking chaos, you know. I just found it weird. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you thought about that, because I thought it was an odd thing for him to say. You know, but yeah. So yeah, we also had the talk with the principal and All Might in regards to Mirio as well, which I was wondering if we were going to get, because, you know, there was talk with Aizawa talking about Mirio maybe being the next become the #1 hero, right? That at some point he would have had to have been seen by All Might as the one to overtake him and succeed him, and give, you know, given Mirio All for One, you know, and that would have been, damn, I would have liked to have seen how that would have worked, you know, because you're talking about like one for all enhancing the abilities of the user. Mirio's is so like, it's an odd one that how would it? It would be interesting to see how it would enhance his abilities, you know. Alright, so what else do we have? What else? We've got Bubble Girl, the sidekick. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the fuck. It's just crazy. The whole Night Eye thing is really, really. And I wonder. I think we'll begin to realize why. I feel like if I was to sit here and talk about it for like the next 15 minutes, I would be able to possibly come up with a theory as to why he thinks this way. But if he is truly on, like, you know, being a hero and being on this side, it could be just his philosophy of like, like All Might constantly smiling, Mirio constantly smiling. Humor is a way to make people smile, so he could be thinking of it that way, and it's a philosophy in his thing, and therefore that's what you need in order to keep everybody positive and on a positive level. It means that you haven't given in mentally to all of the villains and stuff and the bad shit that's going on. So it could be something like that, but that's pretty much all I've got right now. And the last thing I've got is Toga, which I thought was interesting because I always pictured her. I never. She's the one that. Toga is the one that is so. I mean, she's quite fucking psychopathic in her sort of way. She's not. She's almost like not really. She's never really seemed like she's been all there. Whereas the other villains seem more grounded in sort of reality than she does. The fact that she was like, even after what had just fucking transpired, she was like, no, let me cut them. It's like, no, it's not. It's not happening. You might have like the worst chance against them, because you have, like, it's just. It's crazy just seeing her like actually be affected by what had just happened. It wasn't just by like witnessing but like the fact that one of her group had died. I always figured she was not really that close with the group more than she was just like, I want to do this for Stain, right? And I always figured like she wouldn't really be all that close to somebody other than the people that she liked that actually died. Like the likes of Stain, or if Deku was to die, like that might actually bring some emotion out of her. But so it's interesting. So it means that there's a lot more to her character, which is always a good thing when characters aren't just one dimensional. It's good when you get like that. Others. Same with Twice as well. Like that episode last season, where we had like a good like sort of backstory on him. And we're seeing things from like his perspective. I really loved that part of that episode, because it put into context Twice's motivations and why he is a villain himself. And it's not like evil intentions, and that's why he's a villain. That there are more complex things at play there. So and we're seeing him get pissed off at what just happened, and he feels responsible because he brought them there. And then so it's good to see that Himiko is probably going to get that as well. Because it's great when you actually have villains that have reasons for the things that they're doing, or you can make them sort of a bit more. You can start to understand their motivations more and things. Okay, so yeah, excited for that. But yeah, that was all I got. So thank you everyone for watching. Again, if you do want to watch this, my reaction to this, the full episode, then you can go over to my Patreon, get the full length tier. Yeah, that was all we've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I've linked to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get stuff over there, and Patreon, of course. There is the early access for $5 a month. There gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week. So if you're interested in that, you can go over there and see what is going on there. Full length, of course, like I said. And there are other tiers there. If you want me to react to a certain show, you can pay to have them reacted to. So you can go have a look at those if you're interested. But that is all I've got. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.